I have ironed my piece of cut Ada, and I'm now going to mark the centre point so that we know exactly where the centre is when we start stitching. So to do that, I'm going to fold it again. I mean, just ironed it, but I'm just going to make a tiny crease. So fold it in half like this, but keep it light, a light fold here, and make a little crease in the middle there. And do the same the other way. And you've got a little cross in the middle, which is going to show you exactly where the centre is. So I'm going to mark that centre with a little stitch. This is just an offcut of one of my DMC threads. You can just use any piece of sewing thread or anything. We're going to remove this stitch once we've started stitching, but I'm going to put it in just to mark the centre. So just loop the thread before threading the needle. And I'm just going to, I think the centre point was here. Going to put a stitch in here. Just going to say I'm going to do it loosely. We'll pull this out once we've started on the pattern. Whoops. There we are. So there's the stitch. I've done 2 stitches, so we know that the centre point is where the 2 stitches meet. And can now put a fabric in a hoop if you're going to use the hoop. This is the embroidery hoop. You need to unscrew it at the top. It's made of 2 separate hoops, usually of wood. You can get plastic ones. So you've got the inner hoop here, which is solid, not adjustable, and the outer hoop, which it fits into, which is the adjustable one with the screw at the top. So to use the embroidery hoop, I'm going to put the inner hoop underneath our pattern, our fabric, and try and position it so that your centre stitch is in the centre, which is a bit of guesswork really. Can measure here, coming to about 6 inches there. You can always try and move your pattern, your fabric a bit afterwards, but it is better if you can get it roughly right at the beginning. If you're intending to frame it in the hoop, then it just makes it easier because you can leave it in the hoop. So just fiddling with that, trying to get it about centered. I think that's about it, and I'm make sure that this is unscrewed enough to now push it over the inner hoop like this. So I've got the inner hoop underneath and I'm pushing down on the outer hoop, and you crease your beautifully ironed fabric all up around the hoop. And I thought the centre bit was a bit far to the left, so I'm just pulling it over a bit. Once you've pressed it on, it is surprisingly hard to move the fabric, but there, I think that's central enough. Push it up a little bit maybe, and then you're going to take the screw and tighten the screw at the top. You want to get this quite tight because you want your fabric to be taut. I do find that you often may end up retightening the screw as you stitch and as it loosens. I'm just straightening it, try and make sure I've got the fabric nice and straight as I then carry on tightening the screw. So you're getting this really nice taut fabric. Which you're going to be able to stitch on, and then afterwards you can hang the hoop on the wall and it will look rather nice. So there we have our fabric in the hoop, and the last thing we need to do before we start stitching is look at the pattern. I'm going to work on the black and white pattern. You need to see where the centre is on the pattern. This is shown by these arrows. instead of putting a mark in the center of the pattern that will get confused with the symbols, the arrows point to the center of the pattern. So you can then mark on yourself the center point. This is here. So I always draw this on with a pencil onto the pattern. So we know that this point here corresponds to this central point here. So it's easier to start stitching nearer the center because we're going to count out from our center point to where we start stitching. So particularly when you're a beginner, it's a good idea to start near the center and work out because it just makes the counting easier. So we are now finally ready to actually start stitching, which we will do in the next video. See you there.